So this video was actually produced by one of our middle schoolers, Tay Putnatrakan. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce the name correctly. Did a wonderful and amazing job. He led the whole video and all of the recordings, and it was done by the students, and very happy with the outcome of it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and you guys can let me know if you can hear the audio okay.
And I'm in 8th grade. And
is that okay?
We're hearing it.
Perfect. All right.
Hi, my name is Charlie, and I'm in 8th grade. And today I'm going to show you a day in the life of a middle schooler in Innovation Montessori Code.
Yeah, sorry.
What's your favorite part about IMO? I like the creativity you get to experience here. There's a lot of things you get to do, and it's just a really cool experience.
What's your favorite part about your IMO?
If it wasn't for these amazing teachers and amazing people they teach here, I would definitely say for the friends and the community that it provides. What's your favorite thing you've learned at IMO? I've learned great leadership skills and how to be respectful towards my peers.
Here at IMO, we do a lot of stuff to help our community. Let's go check them out. What's your favorite part about this service? I really enjoy trying to raise money for my community and spending time with my friends. And yeah, that's pretty much it. What's your favorite part about this service learning group?
What's the importance of the IMO supply store? Our IMO supply store plays a really pivotal role in our service learning organization. We are fully responsible for the middle school microeconomy. We have monthly sales. They're all themed. This year is a birthday. And we basically procure merchandise, and we sell it once a month to our IMO community in order to raise money for our middle school events. We're super proud of it. I'm really thrilled that I have to great middle school supply store team. They are very ambitious and they're hardworking, and they show up early for sales on Thursdays, and they also are very dedicated to provide a very good. What's your favorite part about your service learning?
For sure. You can take a big bite out of it. What's your favorite part of the service learning group? I like to eat some nonsense, and I like to meet up with them because it's pretty fun. And I go I kind of events. Yeah. What are you doing in service learning right now?
Right now, me and all my friends are kind of finding a way to make sure that the sale is the best. So, what to sell and for what price.
What do you like about your service learning group?
Oh, my service learning besides teaching to death because it's gardening. I've been gardening the majority of my life. The thing I like about it, I get to see things grow over time. Putting the seed in and seeing them pop up, those tomatoes or those flowers, the cherishing again. So I like it.
What's your favorite part of the service learning group?
I think getting the kids like this stuff, because I like seeing like they get happy. They're like, oh my God, everything, and I like organizing. So.
Miss Marisa, what's your favorite part of the service learning?
Well, it's me, Miss Marisa. I am in charge of the base service learning group. And so with our base service learning, we're in the community returning items that are found here in the lost found back to our students. And the good part is the things that we do not have claimed, they go back into our community closet where students are allowed to go through and have items to wear during the school year.
What's your favorite class you're on?
My favorite class is all of them because all the teachers do such a good job.
And all the subjects they make it interesting, while in other schools it's not very.
What do you like about being here?
Honestly, being with my friends, being in the environment, I would have never met like amazing people like Eva if I didn't come to this school. So yeah, and I honestly like that was my teaching too. You know, I feel like the environment is really nice compared to others. Yeah, whenever I came to the school a few years ago, I immediately made friends the first day, and some of them I'm still friends with, and I'm very happy to have them. Yeah, the connections you make here in class. Yeah, actually. Yeah.
What's your favorite class here?
My favorite class here at IMO is science, because teacher Mr. Marcus, he's really nice. He's not really that strict, and he makes science kind of fun sometimes.
What do you enjoy about the IMO community?
Me personally, I enjoy the people and the opportunities that I'm given here. The teachers are very nurturing and, got me through a lot. And the opportunities, like the theater program, are very interesting, and I've been doing them for years.
My favorite class here is math because of probability and chance.
Very cool.
Very cool.
So that was our presentation made by the students. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed it. But it's very near and dear to my heart. As many of you know, I started off as a middle school teacher at IMO, and just to see the program flourish to what it is today, it's such a strong and just a wonderful culture that the teachers have built all around. So thank you.
Okay. Any questions about that? Then we'll just go, is it okay? We just go
Sure.
right on it?
Yeah. go ahead.
Okay, so I'll let since we have so much to discuss, I'm gonna go ahead and let the principals do their updates first, and then we'll get into all of the other great things. So, Kathy or Jared, either one. But before
I'll go first because I'll
Okay.
be brief. I
Okay.
really didn't prepare anything this evening, Heather, because we've got a pretty packed agenda. So yeah, and everything was great. There was an eclipse. We all enjoyed it. It was wonderful. We have amazing children and adults at our school, and thank you.
Absolutely.
Very short and sweet. I did prepare a few things. There were some things to celebrate, so I thought it would be worthy to share them tonight. The first thing I wanted to talk about is Mean Girls. So I had a chance to see Mean Girls for opening night. Blown away. Our kids, they just, every time I come, I'm more and more impressed with what they're able to do, especially because it was such a lengthy show and because I know how much time they had to prepare. I was just in awe and continue to be amazed by the work that they're doing. So kudos to all of the students and staff members that were part of that production. I know it was a huge undertaking, but it was certainly worth it. We have a science fair that's coming up in the high school on Thursday. So Ms. Keisha, one of our science teachers and students from her biology, marine science, and environmental science classes, will be presenting their experiments and their findings on Thursday afternoon. So I'm excited to go and check out some of the cool things that the students have been able to discover and create through their experiments. We have some upcoming guidance nights throughout the month of April, starting with some rising orientation nights and tours. So the first one will be tomorrow for our rising ninth graders for next year. That's going to be from 6 to 7. They'll have an opportunity to get a brief presentation and then an actual tour of the campus, be able to see some of the classrooms. And hopefully we'll have the classrooms labeled with the future home of wherever our current middle school teachers who are coming over, where they're going to be for next year. So we'll have an idea of where to expect those teachers in the new building. Next week on the 17th, we'll have an event for rising 8th grade families, and then the following week for rising 7th grade families. We also have financial aid information night that's happening this Thursday. That'll just be an overview of the financial aid process. That's hosted by Miss Cindy, and she does a great job with all of these guidance events. just a general high school guidance event happening on April 25th. And then a special event for the rising class of 2025. So all of our current juniors who will be seniors next year, they have a special meeting on the 30th to kind of talk about all things senior year, because believe it or not, they're almost seniors. The last thing I wanted to share was about SAT. So on March 4th, we hosted an in-school SAT day. We just got the scores back. We had 64 out of our 200 students that tested during that session. Our average score was a 1013, which is about 80 points higher than the state average and about 65 points higher than all testers nationwide and internationally. So just wanted to shout out our students for doing an amazing job on SAT. It's not an easy test, and they definitely represented us well.
Jared, quick question, that 64 out of 200, is that 200, all high school students was 200?
Yeah, so that was, it was designated for specific grade levels. So that was a majority of our current 11th graders with some 12th graders and some 10th graders mixed in. We provided an opportunity for all of our 11th graders to take it. It's part of an agreement that we have with OCPS. We did extend the opportunity for seniors. Not all of them wanted to take it. Some of them have already taken it, so they didn't want to take it again. And then we did have some seats available for a few 10th graders. We kind of did like the lottery, as we only had a certain number of tests available. But those are pretty significant results, I would say, when we look at how we did in comparison to the rest of the state and the rest of the country.
And that's what I was gonna say. The play was phenomenal. I even drug my husband to it, who is not into that stuff, and he was, man, they did really well. For as long as it was, he actually enjoyed it. So great job for that. Okay, so we do have a lot of things on our agenda. I'm gonna give you a few updates and then we'll go into each one of the items. The biggest, so Stephen, he knows how I am, so he gave me a big list. So E-rate has been filed. We're just waiting for the approval. We think we'll get the approval by the end of the month. And then once that starts happening, they issue new decisions, and then the application goes on. And then hopefully we're looking around 35 to 40,000 in funding. So we're hoping that that happens by June. Next month,
Have we been getting E-rate this last year or two? I remember we got it a few years ago, but.
What is E-rate?
It is, so I'm not gonna pretend like I know all of
Okay.
it, but it is for the electronics. It's
Okay.
like being a nonprofit, and then you get a discount on like internet.
Internet service,
Yeah,
computers,
yeah, all of that
kind
iPads,
of stuff.
like, I just didn't know if we were continually getting that with, like, at least our internet service. and things
Yeah,
we paid
no.
for, but
No,
file.
I don't think it's been for the last couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I think this is Stephen's first. So since he's been here, nobody had it, so. Next month, so part of that process, we have to get a policy in front of you all, and it is the Children's Internet Protection Act policy that we will come to you as part of their process. So we'll have that ready for the May board meeting. The next one is part of our Big Rocks, as you know, was the community videos. You know, we didn't do as big as I had wanted as far as bringing everybody in to make these, but Stephen has worked really, really hard, as well as Miss Eileen. She was kind of the guinea pig for that. So we have presentations with the upper L and then the lower L. So she did her first recordings. And Stephen kind of worked out of all the bugs of that. And so then it led to my welcome video that I sent you all a link to. And then we'll just continue at each level for those. So we'll have videos up to kind of showcase our school for new people coming in, and then hopefully expand on that this next year with truly diving into what is Montessori and that educational piece for the community.
And it's on the website, right?
Yes.
I saw it out there.
Mhm. The iPad rollout, we are rolling those out, went really well for lower elementary, great feedback. By doing that iPad rollout, it freed up 35 devices for upper L for testing for PM3. So that is going to be a good thing. And then began testing iPads in upper L and everything looks promising. So they completed the state mandated testing. The feedback from the students was very positive. They said it was much easier than using the old laptops. So of course, iPads actually, believe it or not, are cheaper than just the regular laptops that we've been using. So we're excited about that as well. So that is kind of the overall, and then now we'll go into, so I attached for you all, the first thing on there was a school calendar. So what I did was I actually just took OCPS's and put our information in. So you'll see, I did a snapshot of that. And then it was also included as the first tab in the work calendar. One of the things I like to have is instead of just saying, oh, you work 189 days or this or that, I really like to see it on paper. And then we also need that as we start doing time cards and things like that, that they'll need to be able to put that into the system. So I guess the first thing we'll need to do is approve the school calendar.
How does this differ from prior year?
Well, it really
Just in
doesn't,
terms
just
of, like-
you have to have 180 days or so many instructional hours, so we meet that
Yep.
requirement. And again, it goes right along with OCPS's. But it's something that we have to have approved each year, and then I have to send that to OCPS.
So there's no place we're varying from.
No.
our- yes.
Right.
I did talk to the administrators and we just haven't came up with it yet. So if that changes, I'll definitely let you all know. I really would love to see a day that Friday before winter break, because we do that day back, that Monday, where teachers work on report cards, but I really feel like it would be a great opportunity to do some professional development mid-year. And so what I was looking at was requesting the Friday before winter break off to do the report cards, and then the Monday after for professional development. But then you get into, if you go under 180 days, you get into that mid thing, and I'm a little bit nervous, not being a Floridian all the way yet, of what if we have a bad hurricane season and those minutes. We have enough minutes now, like we had enough minutes to replace the one day we took off. And so I really want to play with that first before I commit to being one day less, because we have to meet those minutes. And so right now, no, nothing has changed different than OCPS.
Any questions on the calendar?
No questions.
Not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the calendar.
I'd like to motion to approve the calendar.
Thank you. Second. All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well done. Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, so then the next one was the Excel spreadsheet that had the 189, 197, 236, and 256 employee day. So again, one of the things that how I like to kind of do mine is, I know we had it in a snapshot in the manual of what days you had off, but we still weren't really clear on what days did a TA get paid versus, what days are off days. And then that goes for every month. You have your 10-month, you have an 11-month employee, and then the 12-month employees. So this kind of just lays it out. You'll see the first day, the thing that is different on the 189, which is our instructional assistants, and then the 197, which is our classroom teachers, the 10-month employees. I put in a flex day. And the reason why is there are a couple things that we mandate for staff to attend. So of course, open house, meet the teacher, those kind of things. In the past, we had this very complicated comp time schedule. So if you came for this long, then we would comp you for this much time. And logistically, it's a nightmare. On top of it, I'm gonna talk finances, it only increases our cost because when we give comp time out, that's time off that we have to pay later on. And then we have to get a sub, and then, you know, if we can find a sub, and if not, then it's just a lot of responsibility. So I want to do away with comp time and pay for people. If we ask them to work over, then we pay them, or if it's not part of their contract. So this flex day in both the TA and the teacher would cover those extras in the evenings that we require them to be there. So if, you know, if we say, meet the teacher is 2 hours, then 2 hours of that 8 hours would go to that. And so we would make sure that that 8 hours is worked throughout the year, and they would just get paid that day. And then if it's not in their contract, then like I said, then we would look at, so like if it was an overnight field trip, then we would look at paying a stipend, you know, because you're working 24 hours versus the little bit of time. What I don't want to get into is that we're paying for every little thing. No, like, unfortunately, when you're salary, sometimes it's going to be work a couple hours extra here or do this, but you know, to try to be flexible. So that's what that calendar will look like. So you'll see that that has a flex day. Also for your TAs, or for our TAs, in the past, they never got paid holidays. And so I was able to work in that they would at least get paid 2 holidays for that. So they would have the 5 pre-planning days with their teachers in their classrooms to get ready for school. And then they would have 2 holidays of flex day. So that would be their 189 days. And so this would be very clear too. So for, you know, the timesheets, all of those kind of things, they know when they're expected to be here and when they're not. It also doesn't create where they have to come in when teachers get to stay at home and work. Because that's a big divide, you know, too, that I don't think is always fair. So if it's a day that teachers are working on report cards and they get to work from home, TAs are off, so they don't have to be in the building while somebody else is getting to stay at home. So I'm trying to just make it a little bit more equal that way. Look at the 197, very similar. They also would have a flex day. Even though it's already in their contract that they would do the open house, those kind of things, there's other things that we ask them to stay for that would give them a couple hours here and there to make up. Like if they come to the art fair for a couple hours, then you already have that flex time to do that. They would have, so their calendar would be 190 work days, 6 holidays, and 1 flex day as well.
Did they always get 6 holidays?
Yes, yeah, that's what they've always had. And what I did, I didn't show this, but at the bottom, I snipped what was out of the manual and put it down on the bottom. So then to make sure it lined up. The only one that I changed is the 189, where I did give them the 2 holidays, and then we mentioned the flex days. And then on the 256, and we'll talk about that in just a second. The 236, that's an 11-month employee. Again, just wrote it out. They would have 9 holidays. They would be closed 16 days, work 211, their PTO time and paid days. So that would give them their 236 days.
What are the 11-month employees?
What are,
Like what roles are those?
right now it's just our food service manager. We only have
Just one person.
Mhm.
And the 189 is,
Instructional assistants.
okay.
Mhm. And then the 256, again, it's the normal, what we've always had. The one thing I did catch, when I put this year's calendar in a spreadsheet like this, it actually showed that that 256 employees were actually working 260. I don't know how that worked out on the calendar. So I just reflected it this year to show NP, which is 4 non-paid days, to show that they're not working actually 256. They're they're not working 260. They're actually working 256. So I think in the years past, they actually worked 260, but we paid them on a 256 schedule. So we're just adjusting that. The one thing I did add, so for 11 and 12-month employees, you know, we give for all employees 1 PTO day a month that you work. I would like to give the 11-month employee that extra PTO day, so she would get 11. And then the 256 would get 12. So you're pretty much working a month to get a 1 PTO day. And so that's the biggest change other than giving the flex days.
How much comp time do you know, like, were we giving in the past? Is this gonna be a big change for?
Yeah,
people?
so this year I did change it at the beginning, and you know, to say we've gotta tighten that up. Cause we were doing hour per hour. So if you stayed for a parent teacher conference, then you got an hour. If you came to an event, you got an hour. And it was just excessive. And so we did tighten it up a little bit this year to say, okay, these are the things that would qualify. But again, it is logistically a nightmare, and then that added expense. So I would rather, if I'm going to require somebody to be there, than just to pay them a flat stipend, because I'm paying them no matter what in the end. Plus I'm playing this up.
At the end of the day, do you think this is an impact to any of the staff and what they're accustomed to?
Yeah, absolutely what they're accustomed to. And I don't mean that in a negative way at all. I mean, it's
Yes.
great, but I think financially an impact. And so let's not take the finances off our students.
Yeah.
Every time a staff member is out, we're impacting students. And so I think that's also another thing for me is, if I'm able to accrue 10 extra comp time days, that's 10 extra days in addition to my PTO. So that's 20 days a year that students aren't going to have a certified teacher. And, you know what I mean? And so that's where I also, and any position I've ever been in or any school district I've ever been in, that's never happened. But I don't always want to go back to, well, that's just not how I've done it before. That's not it. It's just looking at, if you look at it on paper, the impact that we're having about not having certified teachers in a classroom for additional time off. And I'm not trying to punish. That's why when we talk to salary, and we're going to talk about, let's pay what we're worth. Well, we can never do what you're worth, but to show that we value our staff, but also we value the education of our kids, and we need certified teachers who know our kids, that knows our school in the classrooms as much as possible. And so I think even if we take the financials off of it, our attendance is not where it needs to be as an overall.
Staff attendance,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yes, yeah,
So you're saying that deficit you're looking at because they're gonna take a deficit, so you're saying the salaries are where you may make that up,
right,
possibly.
yes,
But you're also saying that the attendance, the way it is today, is not palatable long-term, so there has to be a change.
absolutely, yes, there's no way we can sustain the amount of comp time that has been given in the past. There's no way financially, subs, logistically, and then also the impact on students and their instruction. I moved one thing on the 12-month employees. It said President's Day was a holiday. The only reason I moved it down to it was just a paid day off is because it's not an official holiday on our actual school calendar. And so if we had to use that day as a makeup day, all my 256-day employees wouldn't be here because it's a paid day off. So I just moved it to the other column. So it is paid day off, but if we had to use that day as a makeup day, it's not an official holiday. I could move it somewhere else. Not that I think they wouldn't show up, but.
Right.
That's Feb 17.
Yes. Any other questions about that?
No,
Are we needing to approve?
do we need to approve this separately?
Well, I
from
think
the-
you would need to, because this includes the additional PTO days on there. And then we've never had an official 236-day calendar.
Okay. Just want to make the right motion to clarify
not
this
to go
from the
on.
previous approval that we did. So
Mhm.
previously, we just approved this school counter, and maybe that just needs to be amended to say they'll be submitted to OCPS.
Mhm.
And this would be approving the school calendar for salary employee from
I'll move to approve the staffing calendar.
There you
staffing
go.
calendar.
That's what we can
Right.
All the calendars in the spreadsheet.
Got it. That's why we keep you around, Kevin.
He's the best at
This guy's
creating
good.
motions.
Crafty motions. All right, so motion on the floor to approve the staffing calendar as presented. Second.
Second that motion.
Thank you, Scott. Second, all in favor, aye.
I
Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Great. Okay, so the next one is job descriptions. So what Alicia, Lily, and I did at first was we took what job descriptions we could find and kind of dumped them in by category of administrator, classified, and instructional.
Sorry, which document should we be looking at?
I sent you all a drive. That
Yeah.
was in your drive. It says job descriptions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's, yeah, and there's like for administrative, there's 3, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Yeah, am I missing?
It was like embedded in the email. It's like a
Email.
hyperlink.
I'm sorry.
I have an email here. In the email, it says you were waiting for final feedback from other people.
Yes, and I updated.
Was there, so that drive will have.
Yes, the drive. will
So I'm
have
looking
that.
at the right email.
Yes, you are. Yes,
So we're starting with administrative.
yes.
Okay.
So, like I said, what I did was I took what we could, well, we took what we could find, and then I used other sources. So I used the charter support job descriptions, I used OCPS and some surrounding schools, surrounding charter schools. So we embedded them into a format that they all matched, and then I gave them to those stakeholders to have feedback. One of the things I found on the job descriptions we could find, it was more like an Indeed, like an Indeed ad, because it was all of the fluff around why you should work here, where the school is. And so I really wanted to take out that redundancy. So we definitely looked at how can we combine it short, sweet, to the point. And so once we vetted it all the way down, we then, like I said, handed it out. Some categories had a little harder time because they wanted to put every little thing. So for example, if I, and I'm just making that up, if I clean the tables, you know, I want to put, I clean the tables. Well, it says run day-to-day operations, you know what I mean? So just trying to streamline that in. So we did that for each category. The only one that I'm missing, and Lily and Alicia are going to kill me, is I did not get to the MTSS and the ESE job description. So we'll just use currently what we have, and then next month I'll get that to you all. So that's the only one that's not in here. They're looking at me like that was what you were supposed to do. And I just didn't make it to do that. So we have the administrative, we have 3, we have my position, the principal position, and the assistant principal position.
So for the ED and the principal positions, we had done job description for those, like when you were hired, and then we had one when we hired Jared.
Mhm.
Were those, how applicable were those to this?
So we
process?
just combined some of those.
Okay.
So we took what you all had done and just combined it together, looked at, like I said, those other sources, the charter support, those kind of things, and just combined it together. Yeah.
It's in like some of these other ones, like I don't know if when we'd ever done an assistant principal job description, because we kind of just never had that role, and then promoted some people into that role, and
Right.
it's not like we went out and recruited for that role.
Right.
So.
And that's what we found for several, that there just wasn't one. And so I really want to streamline. My goal is by the end of this month is that we can hand people, of course, their job description, but then a contract with all of those details if we're inviting them back. And that's kind of the goal overall. Did the same thing with classified. So went to every person that worked in that role, or so for example, teacher assistants, ask our lead teacher assistant to review that. So you can, you know, be able to see there. The only ones we didn't do that for is the substitutes. I didn't ask other substitutes to do that, but everything else, we ask input from the person who is either currently working that, or, so for example, the teacher one, we asked a few lead teachers at both levels to, provide feedback for that. And then instructional was social worker, media specialist, and, the classroom teacher. And then, like I said, I will work on the ESE. And we don't currently have an MTSS person, so there are a few roles that's not in here that we don't currently have, and I was not in a big hurry to get those updated, but we will on some of those that we may obtain. I'll make sure, like the health assistant, those kind of things will, if we bring somebody in, then we'll definitely have that. And then I guess I want to put it out there for everybody. This doesn't, it's not word for word like what everybody does, because we would have too many documents. So we really did try to consolidate, knowing that people work really, really hard. So I don't, because I think sometimes when people feel like it's not on there, you don't know I do all that, but that's not it. It truly is. And then some things are just that little word as other duties as assigned, you know, that go under there.
How long were you guys working on these?
Hours.
Clearly, this is a lot, like.
Yeah,
I was
it-
working on this for a few months or
Yeah,
what?
well, yeah.
I mean,
it's
you've
been-
been mentioning it in a few
Yeah,
agendas
it's-
that you've been working on this, so. And
Endless.
I know how long it takes to
Sure.
write
No,
job
I,
descriptions.
yeah, I know how long it takes
Yeah.
to do this. This is not fun.
No,
I
it's not.
absolutely appreciate the effort that's gone into doing this, yeah.
We said, or I said, I don't know tomorrow what I'm gonna do, like, now I gotta work on all the rest of my job because this is.
I mean,
Yeah.
it really is so important as a foundation.
Oh, it
I
is.
mean, you
It
have
is.
to have this core,
Uh-huh,
so it's
absolutely.
very good that we have all of this updated, so.
Yeah, I think that you're right, you're handling the job description with the
Mhm.
contract. I mean, those are critical. I do that in my role, as I like to make sure people review their job descriptions every year and
Mhm.
have a conversation on, has your job changed? And there's something missing from this that we
Right.
that we've asked you to do differently, and so.
Absolutely.
And
Definitely
there was
helps
a
keep
lot of
people-
research
Yeah,
that went into it
Mhm.
and also looking at the legalities of stuff, which Alicia's really great at.
yeah.
So.
No,
Absolutely.
fantastic.
Yeah. So,
Did you have to
Or
I'm sorry.
spend time thinking about whether the principal job descriptions were the same for the two principals?
yeah, like, well, they looked at them, so I had both of them to kind of look at them to say, hey, does this fit all encompassing? And for the most part, and I don't want to speak for Kathy and Jared, but for the most part, it does. There may be, so for example, Kathy has, BPK and 3-year-olds, even though we have Hilda, you know, she still is, that's still kind of her role. So that's a little bit of the difference, but they still, you know, have ESC to deal with, behavior to deal with, and all of those kind of things. So it's not too varying. Like if you go to a traditional, say, high school, then there's going to be a lot of that extracurricular activities, athletics, those kind of things that we still have, but not on the scale of that. So it didn't feel like it needed to go in a job description per se.
And I would think if you're hiring again for one of those roles in 15 years with whoever Kathy or Jared leave,
Mhm.
you would have the ability to post a different job posting
Mhm.
that would be more particular to one of those, the right job description, or kind of posting around the middle school or high school or lower the elementary program.
Mhm.
That doesn't necessarily need to be in the
Right.
actual job description.
Right. And one of the things I did change in the administrative is under qualifications and the qualification of that you need an ed leadership degree or school principal degree. And if you don't have it, that you'll get it within 2 years. And so that's something that I shared with the principals, that I feel like that's pretty important, that, you know, if you're going to lead, that you are, you either have or you're obtaining that degree.
Heather, I'm learning, so quick question. Do you use this when you're recruiting? Is this the primary vehicle that you use, these job postings?
So yes, so in the past, the way that it's been handled, from my understanding, is they'll just post on Indeed. And then they've kind of intertwined the job description with the posting. And so my vision now is that we have a really, eye-catching, beefy, like post for Indeed, and then we just attach this job
Your
description.
job description to
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
The
so
one that
as a
tells the
recruiter-
story and then this is.
Absolutely, like this is the meat of it, but here's why you want to be here,
Right,
kind of thing.
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I noticed that there's a requirement for the Montessori training in the teachers ones, but not in the administrators ones. Is that? I was just curious about that.
Well, we probably need to add for the leadership part of it. Yes, the motion. So I'm glad I'm glad you caught that. None of my administrators did. So yes, we will need to add that because I do want that we have, like even myself, that can go through the leadership part.
I don't think you need us to do anything with these other than just,
No, I think I
Talk
just need
about
to do all the,
that,
yeah.
excellent. This is great. I didn't know, like I said, I know how much work goes into putting these things together,
Together.
so
Yeah.
fantastic job.
Okay, so the next thing are the salary schedules. Actually, is it okay if we reverse those, or do we have to go in order? So I think we could just lead right into the contracts. That would make more sense after the job descriptions. I'm sorry. So I sent you all let me see, I may have uploaded them actually. Yeah, so I sent it, but we made a couple changes since then. So if you will look, it says employee agreements. We'll just start with the CASA teachers. I think that's the first one I came to. So these were all created last year. I think Arnold Law Firm had helped with the creation of those. So really not a whole lot has changed on any of them, of course, other than the dates. But the PTO section, you'll see that it's highlighted, and that's just highlighted to what we want it to change to. So in the past, they've allowed an employee to take PTO. If they run out of PTO, then they would just settle up at the end of the year. And if you recall the PTO we did this last year, so many days a month. So instead of getting all 10 days at one time, we did like 3 days in August and then so many days in October. And that sounds great in theory. Like that is, it sounds perfect because in my mind, I thought that would be perfect. Like we could do it, but record keeping, it's a nightmare. So we always had people going in the negative and then hoping like, I take 3 days, I'm 1 day over. Well, I know next month I'm getting 2 more days because and so it was a mess. So what we talked about, and after working with Paylocity and Building Hope, is we did, just giving the 10 days up front, but once you're out, we start docking the pay at that point. We don't wait till the end of the year to settle up. So that's what this will say is that you'll be giving you agree not to take time off unless you have the time off hours earned. But then any time that you've taken over that, it's going to be deducted the following paycheck instead of waiting until June to deduct it.
But they don't accrue, right? You're saying they get those all up front.
Right. So I think we tried to do the accrual, which
Yeah.
sound like in my mind, like I said, yes, because somebody could start, get their 10 days, take it off and then quit and we just paid them 10 days.
Right.
But in the logistics part of that, you always had somebody that was running negative. And then to try to make it up, they either leave or whatever. And then we're trying to hold paychecks and it's just, if you are a day over this 2 weeks, the next 2 weeks is going to reflect on your paycheck. You know what I mean? So you'll get your 10 days up front. Once you've used those 10 days, whatever time that month that you didn't work, you're not getting paid.
So is there anything in here then about that scenario where somebody gets hired, takes 10 days PTO and
I don't-
leaves, like?
I don't know if there's anything we
That's
can
just the
do.
risk we're
That's
gonna
just the
run.
risk, which is what they've done up until this
Yeah.
point. And you probably had one every 5 years that did that,
Yeah.
but right now we have several employees up until March when they got the last amount of those 10 days that were running negative a lot. So no matter what, if they would have left, they still would have owed us money and we would have
Right.
been out either way. So the only change on all four of those contracts was is that we would deduct the following paycheck for a time that, you know, you overused. The only other thing I want to do, it's more of a recruiting piece too, and then also to allow employees to see, after on their contract, have an addendum at the last page where, and I just talked to Alicia and Lily about it today, where we show all the benefits that you receive working here. So you'll have your base salary. If you're a certified teacher, you'll have your highly effective and effective, and then you'll have any stipends that you, earn, and then also what is the average we spend in paying, matching your retirement, what is the average we spend on healthcare, all of the trainings you receive, the, you know, all of the great things that happen here that don't happen in a lot of traditional schools. We want to make sure that we snapshot that with their contract, so we kind of sell that piece as well. So that will be at, this is all of the legal things, and then that last page would give them a breakdown of everything that we're offering to them as an employee.
I think Jared has a question.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, I just had a quick question about the how the time will show up in Paylocity. So I know right now it shows up as a negative. Does that continue to accumulate over time? So like, let's say, for example, somebody is out of their PTO days and then they go into the negative and then they have to take another day. So they're farther in the negative, but maybe it's in another pay period. Do we continue to see a record of that? And like, will that be complicated in Paylocity to see? Because what I see now is, you know, the amount of time that's available. If that goes into negative, it just continues to add to that negative number. I don't know if maybe that's a question
So
Alicia can answer.
yeah, it goes into the negative, but then in that payroll, when they deduct it from the employee's check, it brings it back to zero.
Okay.
But
Is
once,
there a way though that we could have that as a record? Like, would Paylocity keep that like just running record? Because I would just be interested to know.
That should be a report that we can pull.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to have those conversations with any of the staff that find themselves, you know, consistently in the negative, right, where their pay is being docked, to see what kind of supports they may need.
Right.
Just, I know that's not, while I know that I'll be approving those days, I don't know that I always will be able to see all of that information readily. So I don't typically know how many days people have left of their PTO and who's gone into the negative, but I think it's important, at least at the end of the year, to be able to have those review conversations.
I definitely agree. And it's possible we can talk to the payroll specialists too about sending that like on a monthly basis or something, so you can see regularly in a report.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful.
Okay.
Any questions about contracts?
what do you need from us on these?
I think you will need to approve the contract verbiage, and the change in the PTO. That's the only thing we're changing, is the wording that we will deduct the following paycheck instead of waiting to the end.
Okay. Mr. Master Motion Crafter, Kevin, can we package these all up in one motion as and just approve? Are we approving just the PTO changes to these, or are we approving? that
I mean, the
contract
changes
as-
that are
as
in the
written?
documents.
Yeah.
That's what was written in red or highlighted
Right.
green. Just gonna ask, do we have, I can't remember, I should know this, like a personnel policy with leave policies in it? That's already.
So we
been-
have the employee manual, and I've already started, so once we got all this straight, what we're gonna do is I've already started going through making changes. Biggest was getting ADP out of all of it, but I want to consolidate. We currently have an employee manual, and then we have a handbook. and I'm not sure why we have both. Did I say some of the same things and some of them not? We're gonna combine that into one and have it housed somewhere. So it will have about PTO in there. It will have about how we pay. It's all of the meat of how we run our operation. So we do have that, and I think that was approved last June, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe July, but, so yes, we're gonna merge those two, and so that will, I'm hoping to come to you either May or June and have that for the next full year.
I know we spent a lot of time on those policies,
Yeah.
waiting to leave at that time.
Yeah.
It was right at the tail end of ADP, it was right at the tail end of Patricia's time running those
Right.
things, so no doubt it needs updating, and I don't want people to sign this agreement if it contains things that are inconsistent with what's in those.
Yeah, we are
policies.
definitely changing those policies. Like, I've already changed, like, it's not, we haven't approved it, but that portion of the PTO in our manual. So then when I come to you, like I said, May or June, whenever I can get it done, and say, hey, here, now they'll all match. Cause my thing is everything's gonna match, like it's gonna be one seamless system.
Right.
Um,
Really, when I heard Jared talking, I mean, this isn't to imply that you get 10 paid days off and then unlimited unpaid leave.
No,
Right.
so
Or whatever, I mean, there's still,
That stuff still needs to be approved.
and all of that stuff is in
Or
the
you take
handbook,
leave
it's
anyway.
not in this contract.
So another thing I want to implement is, I think it says it, but I don't know if we've practiced it in the manual, and I don't know if it's very clear, but if you go into the negative, there's going to be, a series of events. So if you go into the negative, one, it's gonna reflect on your evaluation for the simple fact of you're not fulfilling your contract. Two, you're impacting students. So that's the most important thing. And then three, like, what are those steps? Like, if the first one is could potentially just be a written warning, but it could lead to termination. And so I think we have to be very clear, because we do have some employees who are really negative and doesn't seem to be fazed by taking doc days. But in my mind, you're no longer fulfilling your contract.
Yeah, I mean, it becomes a disciplinary item.
Right.
Mhm.
Obviously subject to whatever we have at MLA.
Oh, well, yes,
We
absolutely.
have bereavement leave, we have all kinds of
Yes.
things in there.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I
So-
guess maybe, if anything, I would just want to be clear in the contract that all of those things are subject to, and I think you say that,
Mhm.
subject to the policies and procedures and stuff.
Right. And so then like I said, what we'll do is we'll just streamline all of that into that manual. So they're speaking the same language. But I want to be able to get the contract out. And so that's why we did it first. Ideally it would have been the manual, but I just ran out of
Yeah, I was
time.
gonna say, it would make more sense for us to approve the policy than you draft a contract
Yeah.
according to the policy that we don't necessarily need to approve.
Yeah,
But if we're,
but I ran out of time.
if
I'm
we're out of
sorry.
order on that, that's fine.
Yeah,
Just-
I'm happy to have help with those.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I spent a lot of time
Mhm.
not finishing it,
Yeah.
last time, so. I think-
Yeah, I think the only one that was finished was the employee one, like 100% finished. But then there was even things in that as I went through, I'm like, no, we probably need to tweak that a little bit. And then, like I said, get everything ADP out of there. And I think that we just need to leave generic too, like in case we do change vendors. Like, here.
So I move to approve the 4 contracts in the board.
Yeah, I'd say if you wanna capture as much, let's motion to approve the 4 contracts presented for the 2024-25 school year. Since you dated these 2024-2025.
Yes.
Then I would think in the future, once we have a new policy in place, we would need to necessarily reapprove these on an ongoing basis, even if you change something necessarily.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I'll move to approve this form for the upcoming school year and the school years thereafter.
Oh, yeah, it's so funny.
It's also noticed by executive director of
Till we feel like changing.
pending change. We
Okay.
captured that, Martha.
I got a little lost because
Yeah,
has
just-
you,
I mean, too,
Maybe just keep it simple and say,
that's what we call a friendly amendment to my own motion. Friendly amendment.
we let these lawyers.
We don't have a second, guys. You can do it.
yeah, that's so we don't have a second. So
Yeah.
so we motion to approve 4 contracts presented for the 24-25 school year.
why don't you call them out, CASA, instructional, hourly, and salary contracts?
Those are the ones.
CASA instruction. See the last two?
I would just say, yeah, the motion to approve CASA, instructional, hourly, and salaried
Hourly and salary. Okay.
employment contracts for 2024, 25, and beyond. I don't want to, I just don't want to say that we don't need to include 25, 24, 25. We can leave it off. I don't want to limit us and then it may be like we had to come back and redo it later, but
Yeah.
so maybe just,
For future school years?
yeah, just maybe just say those 4 contracts for future school years, employment contracts for future school years. Instead of putting 2024, 25.
Okay.
It's all being recorded.
Yeah, I know. I have to go back and listen
Yeah.
to it and.
We've had way worse than these.
I know. I'm like, wait, what are we gonna say?
Yeah.
Okay, so Kevin.
Kevin motion.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Kristen second. All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nay. Motion carries.
The next is the Montessori training policy. And so I will put a little caveat. I heard from Braxton today about this, so I just wanted his blessing. He said, his words are, go ahead and have the board to approve upon pending, how did he say it? You can have them to approve it subject to any attorney review. So here, I'm gonna give you a little backstory. This Montessori training policy came into place when, we paid $10,000 an employee to go through Montessori training. It's a 2-year program. This past year, a person was in the program, is no longer with us, and so we're still paying for that spot, and we're not allowed to put somebody else in there per CGMS rules. So we're paying for nobody to attend. So that's part of their thing is once you start it, you're obligated to the $10,000 and you have to pay it. Then fast forward to this year, same thing. We've had a couple people to leave or going to leave that is either finished the program or is getting ready to finish the program. And so now we've paid $10,000 and somebody else is benefiting them by leaving. So as I was having this discussion with Dana from Building Hope, I said, I think in the past they were kind of, well, we couldn't really do this, but we're not sure. We think ADP told them they could, whatever. And she goes, wait a minute, hold on. I have a policy for that I had in place at our IB school. And so she sent that to me. And so what I did was just reworded their policy that they had already approved. And pretty much what it states is that if an employee is with us, and we pay the first $5,000 or whatever we pay towards the Montessori training, and they choose on their own to leave, then they're obligated to pay 100% of that back to us. And then if they finish the 2 years, then they would have to stay at least 1 additional year to not have to pay back. Then there's a percentage of 75%, or if we let them go, then they're not obligated to pay that back because it was our choice for them to go. Which then goes into the conversation with our principals to say we need to make sure that we're sure that this is a person that we want to keep in our building before we automatically sign them up. So maybe we wait 6 months to a year to ensure that, they fit with our vision.
Before we enroll them in the program.
Right, before we go. And then too, also, we were using ESSER funding to pay for that. And so we were definitely gonna have to slow down that pace of paying. And so in the budget that I'm putting together, I think we allotted for 6 slots to pay half of the 6 slots. And they would pay for that.
30,000.
Yes.
And they pay this,
So
member pays the other
what
half?
right now, the way that it was set up, I guess in the past was for this campus, employees paid half and we paid half, but then the secondary, they paid all. But I want it to be streamlined. So if we're gonna do that, then we just say to the employee, you would pay half and we pay half on that. And so it would be the portion that we pay that we would be asking the money back for. Now, this other school, they requested anytime they went, so if they went to any type of conference that year, that, then they would, if they left, they would ask them to pay that back. I'm just saying the Montessori training part.
So this talks about reimbursement. Are we asking them to pay the upfront costs and then we reimburse them at the end, or?
So what we'll do is we will probably, flip that, in the past, and Lily, you can correct me if I'm wrong, we would deduct it from their check, their portion from that. So, the only time that it would come into play where we would reimburse is if they had to pay for something. So if there was some type of material, which I don't think there would be, but let's say a textbook or something, and they had to pay for it, then that's that reimburse, we would reimburse you, kind of thing.
Yeah, because this speaks to reimbursement and reimbursement agreement. A lot of the language in that whole section around development process speaks to reimbursement. It just, is it really reimbursement, or is this they're paying, or they're agreeing to have their pay deducted to cover that cost? Like,
Yeah, and I think, if you read the portion, let me find it here, that says that, and we can change that wording, I don't care if we don't say, but that we could pay the vendor directly. So, we do some reimbursements on, other courses, so they would pay it up front, then we reimburse. So, I mean, but I don't care to change the word, to reimbursement to say something else.
that'd be something for the lawyers.
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
review
well,
and do anyway.
I guess would this policy be overarching of all training? Cause it's kind of like, split right now. Like you're saying, the Montessori specific training will have these criteria and then there's general.
Well, just about everything that we do is all around the Montessori
Okay.
training. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So there's very few things that we would send them to that wouldn't be Montessori training.
It wouldn't apply to conferences or.
It could, so that's something we need to talk about. The other
Okay.
school does require that, anything that's related to their program that they pay for in that year. So like the big Montessori, conference that we just sent them to, they would be required if they left to reimburse.
But this is about the Montessori.
Yes,
certification.
I'm.
Yeah,
This is for
yeah.
certification.
Cert.
Right.
Yeah.
So would it be less
I would
confusing if I say on, IMO Montessori certification
Yes.
training?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think you need to.
Okay.
Because then there's ongoing Montessori.
Yeah,
training
yeah, yeah.
Beyond once you're
Yeah.
certified,
Okay.
I think.
And then there's a
You could have this
webinar that somebody wants to
Yeah.
attend.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll change it to say that.
Yeah, and one of the examples specifically called out a different training than that Montessori
Okay,
training.
okay.
Yeah.
So then I will definitely go back and fix that.
I think it was the third.
It was 3.
Okay,
Example
three.
3.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if you think about what you're asking us to prove is really the concept of having a 1-year employment requirement, or else they
Absolutely.
will reimburse us. So I think we may motion to approve that kind of policy, and then you draft the details of
Okay.
the agreement separately.
That's fine. I just changed the title so I wouldn't forget, and then I'll work with Braxton to get all the legal fees with it. Is that okay?
And then should there be some sort of official separate policy for like conferences and business travel and that sort of thing?
Here's my only thing, like, do we want to get into that? You know what I mean? Do we want to get into that?
You just may want to
Maybe
have,
just in the handbook or something that outlines like what the per diem is for if someone's being reimbursed for something.
Yeah.
I think that's.
Yeah, that is like for lunch,
Yeah.
travel. Yes, that's in there.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
won't see reimbursement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't do that.
No,
Okay.
I really think my thing is it's $10,000.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we have people leaving.
So they need to be employed for 1 year after they finish their training. Is that the?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's an additional year. Did you I'm assuming you benchmark this against your competitors to a certain extent?
Well, to be honest, we're one of the very few that requires Montessori training unless you went to another Montessori school.
Right.
Yes. And I did not.
I think of this as kind of like tuition reimbursement, like at
Yeah.
any
To an extent,
corporation,
that's kind of what.
it's similar, yeah.
Yeah.
Similar, right?
Yeah.
And that's just where I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
anything you do like that, is that,
Yeah.
would someone look at this and pause and say, hey, this isn't standard?
Yeah.
no, I think it's, you need most places that require any certification for employment And if they're willing to pay for it, would have some stipulation that you remain employed for some period of time.
There always is
below
a
the
stipulation.
money,
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Seems
Yeah.
common.
And 1
The
year
keyword
is pretty
required.
common.
It's required for you to work here.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
And
a
we're saying that
sum
is
of money,
required for people to
so-
work.
Yes, yes, if you're gonna
It's not
keep your
nice to have.
accreditation, you have to have a percentage of Montessori training.
And we're saying that, you know, again, upholding the educational experience for our children, that, you know, throughout that
Okay.
year, right, that your
Mhm.
child is in a classroom with a teacher, that they should,
Mhm.
you know, have that.
Yes.
Yeah, from my
Have
perspective, it's
help.
very fair, like from
Yeah.
looking from outside in, seems very fair based on other things that I know that require that reimbursement.
Right.
Some I know require 2 years and things like
Well,
that.
that was the thing, that some do,
Yeah.
and we put a year on here, but some do require, like, places I've worked before, if you got we call it rank changes,
Mhm.
it was a 3 to 5 year commitment.
Now I have a question about that year. Is that, so are these trainings always held like during the same time of the year? Are they held at all
So
different
it's
times?
all throughout the year.
So,
Once you start the program, it's
It's like a
every
24
month.
month. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just curious,
Rolling.
like if, let's say someone finishes this thing in October, we don't want them just hanging out until October and then quitting, right? Do we want like
Right.
a school year stipulation where if you've done this, you need to stay until the end of a school year or something?
You're saying rather than 12 months, make it a full.
Right, rather than 12 months from the
From the
day
time
you
you start,
finished,
yeah,
a full school
School
year
year.
after.
Finish your current year. and then
Right,
move.
because that's super disruptive for kids if you've got folks
That's a good point.
leaving mid-month,
Yeah, and that's what I
mid-semester.
was thinking about, the continuity
Yeah.
over the school year
Right.
because of the student
One-
experience. yeah.
But if these were always
Yeah.
offered over the summer, then it wouldn't be a problem.
Post
Just being-
Okay.
certification
Yeah.
completion, right?
Okay, I'll make sure I add that in there.
Whatever it's worth, I did this at a Montessori school,
Did you?
handled the collection aspect of it, so
Do you have a policy?
it's not very good.
It's a starting
I
point.
literally took
Yeah.
this other, because like I said, I've been told like, oh, like you can't do that. And I'm like, there's no way we can afford not to.
Then like my question I asked you, I think in email was like, what, and maybe this, like what recourse do we have for a collection? Is it just
The last paycheck.
like, we're gonna take something out of their life, but they're not getting a $10,000
Yeah.
last paycheck, so.
And
Yeah,
then it gets, I don't know.
You know, you can, if it's an enforceable debt, you can do
Yeah.
whatever you think
You can go through debt
is worth
collection.
the squeeze, right?
Yeah, okay.
I don't envision us chasing people very far.
But it's enough.
It's leverage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's- You're expected to stick around. I mean, most people don't want that hanging over them.
Mhm.
But I think setting it up as a tuition reimbursement concept, that's the right way to frame it.
Okay.
Mhm.
But again, that would imply a tuition reimbursement, meaning
We'll even pay it up front.
we'll pay it, you reimburse us if you leave prior to 1 year or not. Cause I know like at my job today, if I go in for further education, I pay for it, they'll reimburse me when I'm done and get any certificate or degree or whatnot, but I have to put the bill up front to get it. We're not asking them to.
No,
put the
we're
grant,
going to,
Then we'll reimburse them.
right.
We just cover it up front.
Is there any sort of stipulation? Because at my old company, the agreement was that you got reimbursed providing you passed with a certain, like,
Yeah.
what happened if
Same,
folks, if we pay for folks to do this and they flunk out or they drop out?
It's a good call out.
They're still
Yeah.
employed
Yeah.
by us.
But that hasn't ever happened.
No, and I wouldn't
Kathy's not gonna
expect
let
that
that
to
happen.
no. I would absolutely, I'm just thinking of like,
Taking people down.
sorry, Kat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if we took the class and paid for it and got a C, they didn't reimburse us.
Yeah.
We had to get an A or B on it.
So
So,
I'll ask if there's some wording. I'll talk to Braxton and see if there's some wording about dropout.
Good. And then if I can just add a little shout out to the fact that it's important that we offer some sort of contribution to this. I do like the direction Heather is going in, because I do feel that the school should get value for the investment. But at a time when teachers are hard to come by, one of our biggest challenges in interviewing is to find a candidate we really like and then say, great, you're hired. Now you just have to fork out 6 or 8 or 10 grand of your own money for training and we're in business, So, so it's important that we keep it in, but I do like the accountability piece.
Mhm. Yeah, I still want us to pay for as much as we can. I mean, I feel like, you know, it is a requirement here, but. So I'll get this cleaned up. I'll work with Braxton and then again, this will start next year, but.
Hey Heather, I had a quick question.
Huh?
For those who have done like on the elementary side, where the school has paid for half and the employee has had to pay for half, what does that reimbursement or like, what does that, like payroll deduction look like? Is that or over the course of 2 years that they're doing the program?
Mhm.
How,
So we
and
get
maybe
billed,
Lily or somebody can answer that.
from the GMS. And so what we would do, they take whatever the cost is at that time, divide it over the 24 months. And then in the past, let's say it's $450, then we'll do half from the teacher that we take back, but we pay the full 450 for, upfront each month. So we pay CGMS each month. And then half of that is deducted from the staff's paycheck.
Okay, so when thinking about like our teaching staff who are getting 24 paychecks, it's like over the course of 2 years, every paycheck is like a little over $100 that they would have deducted to cover the cost of CGMS.
Yes.
Okay.
So are we, do we need to vote on anything specific with regards to it's not finalized, but we still.
Yeah.
I think we can probably take a motion to approve the Montessori certification, what are we calling it? Training policy.
Mhm.
Montessori, I'll call it Montessori certification training policy. I think we need to go further.
Even though there's some updates
Yeah,
pending. I guess.
pending legal
Um,
approval.
And attorney review.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd put it this way, I'd say we approve, we make the motion to approve. If the attorney comes back with something wholly different, then we need to now
Oh,
change
yeah,
that.
if
We'll
it's-
just bring it back to the next meeting and
Yes.
reapprove something else, so.
Yes,
I'm not too worried about us approving something and then it getting the details filled in, so,
absolutely.
okay. I'll make a motion to approve the Montessori training certification policy.
I second that motion.
Second, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Okay, two more things. The next is just a compliance I had sent to you all. It is the charter school policy and procedure compliance for the safety bill 681-00018 and then 1009. It is something that you do every year. It's usually due before now, but OCPS attorneys and their law enforcement were going back and forth. The only big change that they added in there was the portion about the SROs. And so that is where we had to have the policy that says how we're going to utilize them at events. And so we have to approve this policy and sign off on it. But then I could not see in board docs last year anywhere where this was approved, the school safety policy. So out of caution, I'm just going to have it approved again,
Yeah.
just to make sure.
That's
And
right.
so that's what both of those documents are. So you should see in there, the school safety policy is one.
Mhm.
And then you'll see, it says 23-24 Innovation Montessori TOE Charter School Policy. I guess OCPS named it that because I've also been told that in the past it was due in the fall, but I guess everything changed this year.
Yeah, usually we did this before the school year started.
Yeah.
Right, like in August.
Yeah.
That's
And
what I remember is
Yeah.
that we
we
would,
do that
it would
before.
be around the
Yeah.
August timeframe.
I think it was the new ruling on SROs that changed a lot of it. This is beefier than what I noticed that was in the past, just on details. But as you can see, I put our name under the parts. A lot of it, we actually just use OCPS's policies that they've already put in place. The ones that we don't is our mental health plan, which has already been approved. But everything else we use of theirs, except for we did not use their school safety policy in the fact of the SROs because they had in theirs hired a specialist just to oversee it for the district and then each school, and then they had a lot of language in there that didn't pertain to us.
So what is our policy gonna be then for summer school and after school programs?
So the way we have it worded is, for school resource officers is that, they'll be present on campus during the school day when campus is open for operation. And then we also said, that we will have a school resource officer there 30 minutes before
Mhm.
school and 30 minutes after. And then also be required to be present during summer school programs.
Yep.
And then during significant school sponsored events and extracurricular. And so what would happen at that point is like the principal would say, okay, I'm gonna have this event, I'm gonna have this many kids there, this is many adults. We don't think we have enough adults, let's
Is
have a
there
school
a number that we need to write down, say if it gets to be over 100?
I mean, that's
students,
something we can
100,
decide if we want to be
Or
that
we just
specific.
leave that up to you guys to make?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if we tie ourselves, if we say
Yeah,
150
fine.
and 151 show up,
No.
are we gonna be over that? And so, I mean,
Is the city able to support that policy of
Yeah.
having somebody from summer, and
For the
if we
summer.
had somebody on, if we had like the Spring Arts Festival, and we decided we wanted to
somebody, I am sure, talking to Ogletree, that he would be able to make that happen. I know for our base program this summer, that I think that's already secure, like we'll have, I figure it'll be Loretta here on this campus. If the high school decides to have something, then we will definitely look at Stern over there. Cause I think they would much rather do that than work the road.
Yeah.
But I will have to brag on, the sheriff department, like Ogletree has been great. Like if ours is out, we don't have to worry about not having somebody, whereas a lot of other charter schools, you know, don't have the city of Ocoee that's willing to help out like that. And so I think so much so that OCPS put in their verbiage that they were gonna charge some crazy amount of money that if you had to call one of their school resource officers to fill in, that they were gonna charge charter schools that, because some charter schools weren't gonna find them.
And does this exclude after-school base and things like this spring break camp? That was the first of those in a really long time, so I don't know if they'll
Yeah.
have like a winter break camp or a.
Yeah, we'll have to probably look at in the future, a spring break camp having, depending on how many kids are enrolled.
Right.
Having that, but I would say definitely the summer we'll have in there.
But not for,
Or
not for regular after school.
just 30 minutes after. I
Okay.
think because of the amount of kids dwindle so much.
Yes.
Over time that you wouldn't, you know, just
Have you estimated an impact to the budget for
budget.
these
So.
extra events? And-
Yes, so as far as the summer, I've been working with Courtney, we may have to pass on a little bit of that impact, like we've been budgeting out to say, okay, this is what surrounding people are charging for camps, and then also this is what it would cost for our salaries, are we gonna see a profit? And so, yes, so we've been working with her through that.
You'll handle that through pricing of the
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. fair.
Yeah.
I didn't see exhibit A and B in the
Which one had that?
the shorter one.
The
It
shorter one?
mentions like in the first or second paragraph.
I think what it was, I apologize, it was attached to this, the Salem plan, and it was what was on there in the past, and I just didn't scan it. So it's a whole packet that I can get to you, but it is the school safe plan that we
Yeah.
turn in each year, that you all had already approved.
Okay.
You approved it back in the.
Yeah, I
fall?
kind of remember. that.
Yeah, but I can send that to you again, I apologize, yeah.
Yeah, this on page 6 does in very tiny letters say Exhibit A.
Yeah, it's a whole packet and I just uploaded the actual policy, but it's, like I said, it's the plan that we already had approved back in the fall.
Okay.
Would be exhibit A and B, but I don't care to send that back to you. So, yeah, so we have a response plan that that you all had already approved.
So there was 2 documents. Is it just, do we need to approve both?
Yes, so this one will require, and I'm assuming that Brett, you can sign it too. It just says board chair.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, And then I'll have to have Kathy and Jared to sign it and myself on each one of these. And then we'll need to approve separately the school safety policy as well.
Okay. Any questions on either of those two? Okay. Make a motion to approve the school safety policy.
Second motion.
Second, it's not. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. And then motion to approve the 2023-24. I can't read the title of it. Innovation Montessori. Read the title for it.
Innovation Montessori COE, and then our number 0172 charter school policy. FSS.
I'm gonna have to go
Yeah,
back and listen
like-
to this.
We'll call it the 2023-24 Innovation Montessori COE safety policy.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I'm thinking about these hierarchical, so school safety policy is kind of the broader document, and then the one for 23-24 is the actual implementation of that.
Yes, this show that we actually were implementing the safe school. For the school safety policy.
Okay. Have a motion for that? A second?
I'll second.
Marissa, second.
Who motioned? I missed it. Oh, you did.
Motion.
Okay, Brett motion. Okay, and I second.
Move this thing along. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
23, 24 because they didn't do it this year. Yeah, I know it confused me too. I almost changed it. Okay, so moving along, I think that's all of the policies for tonight. Go into finance, and AJ kind of put me on the spot because this morning he was like, "Oh, I'm not going to be there." I'm like, "Oh goodness, okay." So I sent to you all of the sheets that we discussed at the finance committee meeting. I am happy to report. I know we talked a little bit about the OCPS and potentially not meeting their requirements of the cash on hand reserve, those kind of things. And got an email back that we are now in good standing after we cleaned everything up. So yes. So we are moving along. You know what we didn't do? Did we talk about salaries?
No.
No.
Okay, back up.
I was like,
See,
"Oh,
I was all
wasn't there
excited.
one more?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yeah, I
sorry to-
skipped over it. So let's back up. Okay, the last thing is the salary schedule. And so I believe that I sent that to you all. I think I put it in a document, but may not have. I've got so much stuff going every which way. Did I send you all the salary schedule?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the agreement, yeah.
No, the
Oh, the salary schedule. I don't know if I.
Yeah,
I'm
I
looking
don't
for
remember
the
doing
box,
it.
I don't see it.
Okay, let me send that to you. I apologize.
You're good.
One day I'll have it together.
No, there's a lot this month.
It has
But you keep
been-
track of what all to upload.
It's been crazy. That's okay. I'm just gonna share it with you all. Let me know if you get the link to this. I just sent it. Yeah. Nothing there. It happened earlier when I tried to share it with Kathy and Jared. It for some reason didn't go through this way. So let me
You just send it in the email?
I sent the link in the email. You look at that.
Hmm.
Oh, there it is.
Okay. It took a long time to travel.
Went from there to here.
I know, it was a great
This
distance.
laptop.
Okay,
Well, I'm
so this is a little confusing, but I'm gonna try my best to explain it, and then I'll have my sidekicks, Lily and Alicia, to help as well. So you'll see tabs at the bottom. The first one is just instructional. And then the second one's classified. That was taking where everybody we have. So this one's really not gonna be what you need, but taking everything we have and then looking at how we compare to OCPS. And so that's kind of our standard. You may have heard OCPS is doing a 9% increase.
Mhm.
I want to put out there though, that 6% of that is going towards a health increase in their insurance. So really it's 3% for most people. And so that was the first thing. So this was just kind of our guide of how do they do their salary schedules? How often do they move? Those kind of things on that. So this is just more for information, but
where is that?
it's
What's
on
that?
the very bottom that says instructional.
And where do you see that? Where would the OCPS?
So at the very top, that's how, so it says 1 to 5 years suggested increase. That's where they start. If you'll see 0 years.
Scroll down. Got it.
So
Sorry.
if you've ever looked at OCPS's salary schedules for instructional, they have one salary schedule. So when you come in at OCPS from year 0 to year 20, you make the same thing. How they get their raises are the cost of living raises and or highly effective. So if I move to OCPS at 20 years, you know, if I only had 20 years, I'm going to make the same thing base salary as a teacher starting at 0 years. So that's kind of hard to compare that process. But on all of their other jobs, they do have a salary schedule. They though lump it, 0 is the starting, and then 1 to 5, you have one salary schedule, 5 to 10, you have another. And so that's what we just put at the top. So we would kind of know that's where their starting point is. You'll also see in this at the very end are helpful links that Alicia added to this that was really helpful. So we could go back, it says OCPS compensation links. We could go back and actually pull up all of their documents to show how did we get this and what did that look like. And so that was our biggest thing, is we want to make sure that we're competitive. The biggest thing I want to say is I know the question is going to be, Heather, how are you going to talk to us about potentially giving raises when you know how our financial situation is? Here's what I got to say. I have to have the best to work with our best kids. And so I can't let my financial situation deter the fact that I've got to retain. We have some of the best employees. I got to keep those people. Now, do we have to be creative? Will there maybe be some cuts? Yes, as we work through the budget, that may be real life, but I can't not have the best for our kids. And we have the best staff. And so I feel like I still have to stay competitive. The turnover would cost me more money than to give the raises.
Yeah.
So we just talked about the $10,000. But as we're competitive, the other thing I said to my principals today was, then that means we have to expect the best. So when we have staff in here, no matter what your position is, if we're going to pay you the best and like the best, then we expect the best for our kids. So I want to put that out there, because that's going to be the first thing, is how can you even think about that? But I still have to be competitive. So if you'll look, you'll see I just started with the first one that came up was the principal salary schedule. So what we did was we grouped them into 2. We have principal that's over pre-K through 6 and principal over secondary. The discrepancy in salary would be that there's more students at pre-K through 6 than they are at secondary. So that's why there's 2 salary schedules. As we go through this, if we say, hey, but the responsibilities are going to be about the same, whatever, then we can look at that. But right now I'm just looking at overall, like, number of students, for who you teach. So this would be the new proposed rate for salaries for principals. Same thing with AP.
Sorry,
sorry.
just real quick on the years of experience in the
Mhm.
principal schedule, is that years of experience as a principal?
Yes. Yeah.
Not overall years in
Right.
the education?
Right. Yeah, so years of experience as a principal. And then, as you can see, what we did is we looked at the starting rate of what OCPS was, and they know, our principals know this. It's gonna be hard to compete administrative wise with what they pay their administrators. Like, we just have to be, and that's gonna be all in, it's not gonna be like more than most of the time, but it's gonna be at least competitive. Then we increased it, as you can see, I think it's 40 cents each year. That would be a step increase just built in for the administrative positions. Then AP, same thing. Currently, I think our APs started at like 65,000, something like that. We again tried to match what an AP on the elementary side made at OCPS. We weren't exactly the same, but we were at least close to them.
So on the AP schedule, you've got the two APs and what are the two salaries there, like in columns C and D?
So C is the current, and then D would be what it would be next year. Yeah, so for both of them. Yes. And then, again, so the starting salary at OCPS was 67,500.
Got it.
Yeah, with a max of 111,000. Skip over the stipend schedule, we'll get to that, but then you can see the pre-K salary. This, what I've been told, that was just changed here recently within the last year or so to reflect the increase. And then also to reflect you have to remember, this is the base. This doesn't include all the extras. So down here on the very bottom where it has that column E, that is their base. We're not going backwards. They would still keep what they have. It's just
column B.
Yeah, column E at the very bottom. You see how column E, you have the difference between current and that. You're not going backwards. That's a base. So it's hard for that to compare. So teachers are going to look a little different. My proposed for supplements, so that it would be for degrees, Montessori credentials, or a PhD, and that would be for any instructional staff, is we currently pay $1,500 for a degree that we would pay $2,000. OCPS pays $3,000. Montessori credential that would be if you entered into us, we did not have to pay for your Montessori. It's MACD certified Montessori training. Then you would get $1,000 stipend. And then a PhD would be $3,500. Again, OCPS is about $6,000, but we're trying to be. Then the same thing. So that would be pre-K teacher, social worker, and teacher on all of those stipends. Social worker and regular teacher, so not pre-K on up, they have the same exact salary schedule. We have the starting max. OCPS is changing their starting from 48,400 to 49,400. So I'm proposing that we do the same.
I have a question about the social workers. Is there any difference based on credential, like licensed mental health counselor?
No, so they would still get the supplement for their degree.
Okay.
But yes, their qualifications, of course, look different than a classroom teacher,
Right.
but they would still be based off of if they have a master's.
Right, if they have the MSW, it would be based on
Yes.
the degree, not this.
Right.
Okay.
I do have on all of them the starting and the max out.
Mhm.
So as you can see, the max out rate of 85,000 for them is that's kind of their breaking point. Once it's like we're not paying more than that because we can't sustain that. So you'll see the teacher, and again, the teacher, the social worker, and the pre-K teacher, it's so deceiving because That's just their base. That doesn't include all of the extra things. So it's hard to say, oh, well, this person's going from this to this, because we can't do that.
But those three are all the same, right? The starting
Yes.
max and the
Uh-huh.
stipends are all the same.
Yes. Mhm. Then you get into your staff support. So you have like registrar, you have, the registrar, we have, if that was their only job duty, that first column, that again matches OCPS. We don't currently have anybody there right now, but we just went ahead and put that on there. But then we have primary plus registrar. So we have a person currently doing registrar at the primary level plus other duties. And then we have the secondary, so we have a person doing that plus the other duties. And so looking at the duties compared to that, that's why there's those 2 extra columns as well on that. And then same thing with primary coordinator, so same thing. Increase that to what would be a typical primary preschool is what the traditional setting would be, coordinator for that, to reflect the operations and running of that program. Facility manager, again, just increase to look at what comparable. It was a little bit harder to compare to current OCPS because they have so many people doing different jobs. So we try to just take that average of what it would look like to run 2 campuses. So my thing about that is, instead of having a facility manager at one campus and then each campus, is to have one, and then just pick up with a custodian at the other campus. So instead of having a facility manager custodian just at the high school and then one here, we would have one that would be managing both campuses, but then have regular custodians. So it's really a cost savings, but also it lets me streamline that our current person knows what's going on. So when we're ordering supplies, we're not doing it in 2 separate locations, and that we can save on that bulk ordering as well. Custodian, same thing. Currently OCPS pays the $15.40, but that's their old rate. So I'm proposing that we start at $15.45. That would be the same thing with TAs. And then we currently pay 50 cents more an hour if you have your certifications there. So there's that new job skill as well for TAs. Then we have the base program manager.
Do we have TAs that have Montessori certifications?
I don't know about, I'm trying to think if we have a Montessori. Kathy, you may be able to answer that, but I do know we have TAs that have degrees.
Yeah, probably in primary, we have a couple of TAs with Montessori primary certification.
Okay, thank you. And then we have the business and HR manager. And I hate to read all these to you.
Okay.
These are just all of the different job positions. The other thing that we had on here was, back at the beginning, we had stipend schedule. I wanted to streamline our stipends. They were a little bit all over the place. There was no rhyme or reason how we gave a stipend. I think they tried to look at like how long was the club, how long was this or that, but it was all over the place. And so kind of put in a criteria that, like, if you're going to have a club, there has to be at least 10 participants to be considered a club. And then, so you'll see there that all the clubs are pretty much getting paid the same thing. And then athletics would be based on how long their season is, and those kind of things. So we went through there, and
Are the club stipends one time?
yeah, do you
No,
divide them up?
They're split out, depending when they start. So if they do it all year, it's split out in 4 quarters.
But I'm just saying, it's $300 for the school year, not
Right,
like
and it's-
$300 a month.
Right,
Yeah,
sure.
it's split out throughout the year.
So they get
More like $75 a quarter, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
just depends on, again, what it is, you know what I mean, how long it is, those kind of things, but yeah.
Yeah, but if they start, let's say in December, it's not gonna be the full amount of the
Yeah.
stipend.
No. Like that wouldn't be the full 300.
It's not the full amount.
Prorated.
Yes. Alright.
And is that correct that some of those stipends are going down?
Some of them are, some of them I think, were glitches, like you could see one that says 2,400, but I don't really, I think they were taking the head and the assistant and putting them together, so we divided those out. Again, we looked at the season and those kind of things and just combined, but I do think a couple of them were some glitches, but yes, we tried to streamline, so if you see volleyball and basketball, they have the same months, I'm not sure why they were different. So we just tried to streamline those.
Glitches meaning we were doing too much this year.
Well, not because I think that was all they were told. Like there was no like set, like this is what we're gonna do. It's kind of like, well, let's just guess. No, this is our schedule. And that's my part about having a salary schedule. We had it for some things, but not other things. And it was, there's no rhyme or reason. Sometimes like we can look at one employee has the same amount of experience as this employee and they make two different things. So my goal is that we start everybody at this, and then as you earn, I know the instructional is different because they have highly effective and effective, but that everybody else is, it's a streamlined set. Like this is what we are doing. So again, I think it just will, as we onboard people, there's not going to be a discrepancy in who gets
So
paid what.
we have to recognize that some people are going down in this scenario.
No, I will freeze. I won't take away. So I
Okay.
will freeze until you
Okay.
catch up.
Okay.
Yeah, but there are probably 3 or 4 people that would affect. So we're just going to freeze until you catch up.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, on the budget, you know, we were going to talk about it. So for instructional staff, as you know, they have base salary, and then they have the potential to earn highly effective and effective and any degrees. So, in the years past, I know that, it's been given like a 3% raise, a 5% raise, a 2% raise. The drawback about that for cost of living is it's all over the place and it's hard to sustain. So of course, if you make more, you get a larger stipend or a larger rate of living increase. Over time, I think that's a little bit why we are the way we are, where there's such discrepancy. So somebody can be working 25 years and making this amount of money, and somebody be working and making this amount of money the same amount of years. And that's in our instructional staff as well. It also depends where you here, where you not, how are you coming in, those kind of things. So what I would like to do this year is I sat down with Lily and Alicia, and we looked at what would the average of a 3% raise for our instructional staff be? Because all of the other ones, we're doing salary schedules, everybody is getting a raise. You know what I mean? That new salary schedule reflects that. But how do we do that for instructional staff that we can give a bonus that would reflect the 3%. We're not calling it a cost of living. It's going to be a bonus, because a cost of living cannot be more than 50% of your effective rate. So if we pay highly effective 1,000 and effective 500, that means we can't give a cost of living rate past $250. So that's in statute. So that's one of the things. The next thing is it becomes, if we said we wanted to do 3% and we work those numbers out, it becomes the new base salary. And then every year you're never able to sustain it. In 10 years, we're not gonna have any staff because we're gonna just have very few because everybody keeps getting 3% on their base. So by doing a bonus, it's a bonus that's going to be equivalent to anywhere between 2 to 3%, depending on your salary. And it's going to be a one-time, and then next year we'll reevaluate and see what that bonus would be. So we can't call it a cost of living because, like I said, you can't go over 250. And then when you get into percentages, it becomes
Takes away the compounding.
Absolutely. So my recommendation is going to be a $1,500 bonus for our instructional staff to reflect what OCPS is doing with their 3%. It will be for staff, for our instructional staff. This is for structural staff only, would be that it would be for some, right, like a little over 2%, some will be right at 3%, but it's kind of the average, $1,500.
Flat.
A flat $1,500 bonus that would be in addition to your base salary and your highly effective and your credentials. So that's how I'm proposing for our staff, our instructional staff.
Just for next school year.
Just for next school year, and then we'll reevaluate and see where we're at. For all of the non-instructional staff, they will see, unless you have to be frozen, if you're one of the 3 or 4 that's making way above what you should be, you will see also a pay increase that will reflect competitively with OCPS as well. And
How
so,
many instructional staff do you have that would get the 1,500?
let me see, I've got that already. I think it's 72 total. But, well, so we can go ahead and talk about that. I sent you the link for the tentative draft budget that we are not looking at approving. It truly is just for you all. I think, let me see if I sent it to you or if I uploaded it. I may have uploaded it. Oh, I did. I uploaded it actually under the finance section. If you see the planning
docs.
sheet on board docs. I did take out the salary page because I felt like that privacy part of it with everything, not that it's not open records, but I just didn't feel like that was. That I wanted
Sure.
to do that, but we have that open, so I can just see the salary and the working document. Yeah. So if you look at, yeah, I just want to see how many, I think it is 72, just so I know. So just so it's not in here, but there is also a tab that we created that has all of the staff broken down by their job code. And so it would be a total of $82,500 for the bonus is what that would cost us for instructional staff. So you'll be able to see that. The document that I shared with you again is just the working budget, and you've seen this before. So this was what we created back for the November. You can actually see on the summary page is that it was last year's that we approved in November, and then working through this year's. Again, this is not done, but you can see with all of the salaries in here that Dana had put in, and it took some of the numbers out. So of course it did because I took the salaries out. So I'll have to tell you what it says. Page. I apologize, but I didn't want to put the salaries in there. Down at the very bottom, it should read, with putting back our 5% and having all of the updated salaries in here, we've got to work through, we're $100,000 over. So the principals and I know that with all of the raises, all of that, we've already went through each tab and had administrators to put in what is I have to have and what's a wish list for each area that we're $100,000 over. So we are going to have to go back through and say, okay, where does that $100,000 come from? But that's with all of the raises in there. So I feel pretty comfortable that, yes, we already knew that there was going to have to be some changes anyways. But I feel strongly enough to say that I have to have highly qualified, competitive people in these positions. That, yes, I know we're going to have to make some cuts somewhere else, but it's going to be better for our kids to not have a high turnover. And so that's the tough decision. Because at first I was going to come in and say, we just need to freeze everything. But then after OCPS put out 9%,
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more on the remaining competitive and holding on to the retention. So, you know,
Yeah.
utmost criticality. But if you take that $100,000 challenge into how does that affect from like our bond ratios and things that we need to be,
To keep that,
to keep
so
those straight?
I had asked Dana if we could just put the 1.1 million for our bond in there and just save it.
Yeah.
Just like it doesn't work that way. But working through with her, she actually, so after Lily, Alicia and I did all of this, I've been working with her for the last 2 days to ensure that I'm on the right track, that I'm meeting all of Florida's laws and regulations. And talking through that, she felt, as I did, pretty comfortable that we will be very close to our 1.1 million requirement for the bond. Will there be some give and take? Absolutely. But, and will we have to make some changes on this budget? Yes. But we also have to operate a school. And so that's the other thing when I say, well, can we just put the 1.1 in reserve? She's like, no, you still got to run a school. So the whole idea is if we can put back so much now that we can compound that by the 5% we keep putting back. So we'll always be okay. So I feel okay doing it. Are we going to be close this year on meeting the 45 days cash on hand? Yes, we are, because we're still battling ESSER. So that's we are seeing more money back from ESSER, but that's always going to be looming. But ESSER's out of this budget now. So my goal is to have that spent.
And how much did our staff's insurance increase? Do you know that percentage?
It was probably about a 1 to 2%, depending on, so let me say that it depends on what plan you took.
Right.
For the single plan, we paid for it, so it doesn't, matter. But for the child, like it wasn't a whole lot. It was nothing like what OCCS did.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm so surprised that how it fluctuated that different for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nothing. Like I think I had read where it was like $3,000 or $6,000 a year for some employees or something, change increase. Yeah, we did not have that.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's still enough that we deserve, they deserve that increase.
Oh, yeah.
In this draft, already assume you've already penciled in 10,000 from gifts, grants, requests, and fundraising.
That is what we've already gotten, yes, that we can say, yes. The goal is to have more, but this is also a reflection of, so for example, the student supply fee, I apologize. That's if only 750 people paid the 125. So I really was cautious about putting in our revenue because I'd rather have more revenue than not enough. So I'm saying, okay, what does that realistically look like? Yeah, a lot of our local revenue and even a lot of our expenses as far as utilities, all of that is set. So I know that's not going to change. This is what we are projected already to pay. The biggest thing that could potentially change, besides salaries, of course, would be all of like the classroom supplies, textbooks, materials, those kind of things. Those are the things that we have to really be cautious with to say, okay, if we set a budget, then that's what the budget has to be.
Can you increase the school supply fee?
To
for next year?
125. But again, I didn't do it 100% people paying. I mean, that's the goal, of course, but.
Yeah.
But like, for example, classroom supplies, so the 5,100, 510, budgeted that out of that money that we receive, and we had say we have 1,000 kids, that each classroom could potentially get $250 for the year for just their regular classroom supplies. So what I did was took that 125 and said, okay, 25 was going to technology, then this 25 went to supplies, this 25 went to copy paper, those kind of things. So I had it broken up. So then that allowed that on the average, each teacher would receive $250 for pencils, paper, those kind of things within their classroom. And then we could have $25 a kid that would get those bigger items that we needed.
when will you guys have like a final draft?
I'm hoping,
Next month.
my goal is next month, is that we have a final budget, that we've been able to project everything from this past year.
Yeah.
And so then, but we always know with a budget, we'll do the final budget in May, but then when we get the new school year up and running, and depending on our enrollment, then we'll adjust that. So really, you should be adjusting your budget twice a year.
Yeah.
And so we'll make an adjustment once our first FTE comes out, and say, okay, this is where we're landing.
We would typically do like a budget workshop in May,
Mhm.
review that,
Mhm.
vote, approve it in June, and then to your
Do
point,
that.
late in the year,
Mhm.
November, December, doing kind of that,
Okay,
the review and adjustment. So maybe next month, but I don't know when your next finance committee meeting is, or, but if we could plan a working session
Session for
next
that.
month to do a deep dive
Sure.
on that, and I don't know if you'd want Dana or somebody from Building Hope.
I think
to
they would be
come
happy to do
walk
that, yeah.
walk us through and
Mhm.
talk about all the
Mhm.
ups and downs and the variance between this year and,
Absolutely.
you know, if we go in with $100,000 challenge,
Mhm.
Marissa, that gives us something to,
Shoot for.
that gives us the goal to shoot for on the grants and
Right.
fundraising side.
Absolutely.
So why don't we plan
We
that
could do
for
that. Yeah, I'm meeting with
May?
AJ on Friday at 2 to kind of talk through some things and kind of let him see where I'm at on this. But we can definitely, I really want us to have that kind of squared away in May. So then in June, because here's what I want. I want to be able to tell staff if unfortunately they cannot return. Or if I need to cut a vendor, like, hey, we're not. On the
Are you
finance,
gonna look to cover that 100K by June, or is that something you would cover over the next 6, 8 months? Like,
no, if we have to cut, if it's staff, I want to let staff know by May or the end of this month. I think that's only fair, if that's how we have to cover the 100,000. I did have another property insurance company to come out, so to get a quote to see if we can get it a little cheaper. So that's the last big vendor that I have left to renegotiate. So all of the other vendors I've been able to renegotiate with, or ask, my people to make sure that that's done, even down to the elevator, all that, to make sure we're getting the best price. I did find out we owe, what did I say, 113,000 on the solar panel? If we paid it off today, like, I really would love to come up with $113,000 and get that off, because what we're paying in interest on that
Yeah.
little bit of loan is ridiculous. So it's like, man, that would be a great, I know it's $1,600 a month, but only like 1,000 is going to the principal. Yeah, and we took that loan out in 2017 for 130,000, and it's now 2024, and we still owe 100.
Yeah. Killing it interest.
So I would love to be able to wipe that out. So if anybody has any rich family members, we need 113,000 for the solar panel.
I saw that in last month's board meeting. I was going back.
What did you see?
Well, I thought it said an amount. Says currently we owe 23,000 on, maybe that's just the annual, says 23,000 on the panels, equates to 1,600 a month.
Yeah.
That's not the outstanding balance.
No, that's not the, no.
I saw
That's
that
probably what we pay a
23,000.
year.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So we just pulled those numbers today. And, so.
I mean, that would be fundraising to eliminate the solar panel debt would be ongoing, because the solar panels will continue to generate revenue every month that, now, right now, they're making enough to cover the payments, the debt service on the loan, but if we were to pay it off, then you'd be getting a $1,600 a month credit every month. That would then carry on into 3 and 5 years, and so you get some compounded payback
Right.
on that.
And like, even what they're charging, we looked today to even have their loan account, not the loan itself, but the loan account, we're paying, was it $60 a month that I said today? In fees.
Is there an opportunity to refinance it?
$55 a month in fees. So that's fees, like, so they charge us a wire transfer fee. Then they charge us, because we don't keep over $10,000 in there, a fee. And then we also have to pay a fee to Wells Fargo to transfer the money over to there. So it's like we're paying $55 a month just in fees, not including interest.
Can we refinance it?
Seacoast?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. We got a 5% interest rate right now, 5.5. So,
And they don't let us do like a bill pay, it has to be like rewired and,
yeah.
or we can just go deposit the money, we take it out, we could do that, but.
It's a pain every month to go withdraw from Wells Fargo to turn around and go to the bank to deposit it.
I mean,
It
we
might
could
be an
do one
opportunity to
huge
talk.
wire transfer, like 100,000 and that's it, but.
Well, if I could do that, then I would just pay the loan off.
Okay.
I don't know if it's worth talking to Wells Fargo and
Mhm.
saying, look, what if we
Mhm.
brought you the business? Is there a way to get a, you know,
Mhm.
a better rate than what, I don't know.
You're
what
not
they're
gonna be able
charging
to beat
on
that
this kind of-
interest rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now it's hard.
Yeah.
I would.
Well, and we also have to be honest, I was gonna talk to AJ about this, like, we need to look at Wells Fargo too, like, they still don't have their small business or business credit cards up and running yet. And we really need that, like, we should not be running our business off of debit cards,
Yeah.
and they don't even have that open yet. And so that's the other thing is, you know, we need to look at, are we getting our biggest bang for our buck with Wells Fargo? I don't know, it may be, but
Maybe that's a call out to reach to some of your other charter school
Yeah, to see what
principals
they
and say,
get.
where you guys bank?
yeah,
You guys getting a better deal somewhere else? And
yeah,
See if anybody's got a beat on that.
yeah. That's the other, that's another on the list. But
So what do we have to do with the salary schedule? Do we
Did you
to
need us to?
approve?
I
do
think you
anything
would
with
have
the
to approve
salary?
the salary schedule, would you, Kevin? I don't know.
I'd like to move to approve the salary schedule.
Okay.
All right, there's a motion on the floor to approve the salary schedule. Any questions, feedback, concerns on the salary schedule?
I liked it. That wasn't just off the cuff thing.
No, I think you guys,
It's well thought out.
that and the job descriptions have obviously invested a significant amount of time in this, and at least it provides a level of transparency and next sets good expectations with folks on what's expected.
Definitely appreciate the comparisons to Orange County
Yeah.
and the
100% agree.
creative efforts to, you know, avoid the COLA limitations and all of that.
Right.
My other question was, in those components, do we have like a differentiation in performance for the individual?
So the only instructional staff, yes. So instructional to get the highly effective and
Okay,
effective.
that's what I thought, maybe that's what it was.
So looked up the state law to ensure I was right. It had to be a third based off of student performance, a third based off of evaluation, and then you choose the third. And so, from my understanding, talking to the principals today, we did a third off of state test scores, and then the rest off of the teacher evaluation. We did talk about looking at that this summer to ensuring that we're incorporating into our evaluation system all of those professional responsibilities, like your attendance, those kind of things. So right now, it's very vague in our teacher evaluation. So I want to work with them that we have that, like domain 4 could tie that in, and we have 4 domains into our evaluation. But we did talk about, you know, looking at our peace agreements and those kind of things, and maybe tying that in as an extra domain. So we are going to work through that about our evaluations for next year, making sure we're really clear on, not that I don't want everybody to have highly effective, but I want to make sure that we're all performing at highly effective, because it's not fair if I'm, you know, the person that is, I'm doing I'll show up and I'll do my job, but I'm not performing at the same rate you are, and we both get the same stipend or supplement. So
And the bonus wouldn't be tied to effective or highly.
no, this is just saying,
Yeah.
this is a bonus to be compared with OCPS, but it is not a cost of living raise. We are not doing a COLA this year. It's going to be a bonus instead. But it is comparable to 2 to 3%.
Coincidence.
Yeah,
It's weird.
I know.
Heather, have we thought about how we would pay that out? Is it just gonna be something that gets paid during the regular pay cycle, or would that be paid quarterly?
Divide it up into their, just like we would do all of the other things, we'll divide it up into their paycheck. So when they get their contract and all of that's listed out, we'll get the final number other than the highly effective and effective, and we'll divide that among 24 paychecks.
So they get it taxed the heck out of it, like
True.
the one
Yeah.
lump sum, yeah.
Do you have a second?
I second.
Kate second.
Okay.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, motion passes.
Oh, no. So finance, I shared with you all of the reports that we received at the finance committee. I emailed that to you all.
Yep.
The one I want to focus on the most that I feel like is the most beneficial is the one that is titled, IMO bond ratio as of 2/29, and I want to kind of explain that a little bit. Because there is one in there and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, it panicked me a little bit, but then we're okay.
And which file is that one in, the P&L or?
That one is, it just says IMO bond ratio. It is, I emailed this one to you just now because I didn't know AJ wasn't until today gonna be here. There was a whole list of different documents around our finances. It was sent at
Oh,
6:30.
there's 6 attachments. Oh,
Yes, it was attachment.
got it.
Yeah, sorry.
You said it's the bond ratio, which one?
The bond ratio, yes. So as you know, we have covenants. That's the most important thing, I think, for us. And I just kind of wanted to share this with you and explain it to you. So you see the debt service ratio, it was supposed to be 1 to 110, we're 1 to 120, so we're good. The one that was a little alarming until they explained it was the days cash on hand says 24. But what Raphael and Kevin from Building Hope would say is it's one of the things is they're still working through all of those inputs. They talked about how many thousands of inputs they have. So they feel more comfortable that we are up on the days cash on hand closer to 30 days. After I worked with Dana, I was panicking a little bit. I worked with Dana. We added up what we're owed in ESSER, what we currently have. We're going to be really close to the 45 days. So when you saw those documents, I didn't want you to be like, wait a minute, we're only at 24 days cash on hand. So it is getting better because it was a lot worse as they're cleaning it up.
When do they review that?
Who the bond
The
people?
bond people, yeah.
June 30th.
Okay.
So June
So-
30th is the day that we'll make sure we have everything we're owed from CASA into our account. I've been putting our ESSER reimbursements into savings, which then we do hear some things, that we have to pay. But so I'm trying to stockpile our savings. That doesn't reflect in here, that I put that in that platinum account, that we can have that 1.1 million in our bank account by June 30th. So I do feel after looking at that and working through with Dana on that, I feel pretty comfortable that we're going to be really close unless something crazy breaks or happens or some bill comes through that I don't know about. One thing, and we can kind of talk about it, that I just need some guidance on is our Montessori Foundation. I did receive a letter about taxes from 2021. So whoever can share that after the meeting with me about that. Filing. But like I said, I sent all of the finance stuff to you.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about this later, but we created that foundation, have not really done anything with it in the last couple of years, so I don't know if it's still costing us money to maintain that,
Well, it probably
the
will.
charitable organization, so if it becomes a decision of us, are we gonna continue to operate that and maintain that as an organization or not, we should make a decision.
Yeah, that's from 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't even have a bank account. I mean, we've kind of looked into that.
Right. Yeah. So we do need to talk through that, like how do we file the taxes on that?
This we didn't file an 990,
We didn't what? I'm sorry.
so we just failed to file an 990
Yeah, for 2021.
and subsequent years, I know.
No, we did 2020, 2022.
I mean, the tax return should be negligible, and there's nothing that we really not much of anything to report.
Yeah, I just need somebody to help me because there's nothing in files that I can find from years past. So just, that's something we can do on the side, but since it's finance, I just thought. And then I'm still working through the 2014 ones. Yeah.
2014.
Mhm. Yeah, those weren't filed or paid either. How much was that one? 14,000 and some
8
change.
years ago?
Yeah,
When did that come in?
Like in the fall.
fall.
Oh, really?
Why did we owe taxes, or is it just a penalty that occurred?
I don't
We-
know
we
if
failed
you
to file
call
in
them.
2014?
So she finally got a hold of them and they
They
said,
wouldn't talk
talk
with
to
me,
her.
'cause
So
they-
then I have left 2 messages and set on hold and still can't get anybody to answer the phone at the IRS. But I will eventually, hopefully get a
Yeah,
hold
they
of
will
them. I
say
keep
what it's
telling, you know,
for.
you can say, call me back.
Who was the body that owed taxes in 2014?
That was Innovation Montessori. Or actually it said Winter Garden.
Yeah, probably would have said
Yeah.
Montessori
Yeah.
Kindergarten, but like,
And the statute is
I
10
can't
years. Cause I looked it up.
what taxes, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, we
That's
can,
fine. That's way before any of our time.
I know,
That's
so.
Alarming though.
It's to put Innovation Montessori Ocoee,
Oh, is
Tree
it?
Shargo.
2014.
Yeah. So,
We weren't even Innovation Montessori at Code until 2007.
I don't know.
They may have just updated our name since then. but-
Yeah. So that's kind of the finance update. We'll share more with you. Honestly, if we're gonna do a working budget, then AJ, I guess, can share all of the things that we've discussed in the finance meeting. I think he uploaded those already. He is looking at doing finance meetings in person in the future. He mentioned that in the finance committee meeting. Right now, though, we only have 2 people on the committee, Noam and Jeremy, so we probably do need the rest are staff people and they really can't be, so we do
We
need.
need some committee members.
So I
I'll
figured
join it.
you're gonna join it?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Now that the meetings aren't at car rider line time.
No, I don't.
Yeah, what time are they gonna be at?
He's been doing it at noon.
Okay, because they report like 8 AM, right?
Yeah. Yeah, 8 and then, yeah, so.
They're always right in the middle of.
Like,
Yeah.
all right, yeah, so I think it's noon, so.
But those may, yeah, I might be able to attend those, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think that's it.
Okay.
All right.
Think so?
So that moves us to the PTO update.
I think Sarah sent you an update.
Oh, she did. Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't say anything other than we did not pay an extra.
She must have sent it to my other
Sure,
email.
Lord,
Not
yeah, still on.
seeing it.
Send it to her.
Sent to Marissa email.
Please resolve.
Check it there.
I'm opening it up. Let me see.
We're jealous.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
Got it.
That was my thing, I was like, can I just back that off?
Okay, so we're opening up an update from Sarah via email. All right, thank you, Sarah. So I see here a Parent Connect kayak at Wekiva Springs. It's gonna be, did that already pass? April 16th? No,
Yeah.
no, it's coming up. April 16th. Next week, next Tuesday. Drop off kids at school and then head to Wekiva Springs State Park for a fun grown-up outing on the water. Meet at 9:30 a.m. and we'll paddle over to Wekiva Island. Bring your own canoe, kayak, or rent from the park. She would like also to call out the Bake Off and Clothing Drive, which will be Sunday, April 21st. Prizes for the best cookie, best cake, best other desserts, best vegan or gluten-free dessert. So get ready to sample some of IMO's best bakers at the IMHS campus, and we have prizes for the top bakers in each category. Then it's spring cleaning time. Help us make a difference by donating your gently used clothes, shoes, linens, and toys, and get your car washed. This will be at Sunday, April 21st from 11 to 3 p.m. at IMHS. And it benefits the IMHS students. We need 2 volunteers to join our team in planning and coordinating this exciting event, making it a fun way to support our school together. Please connect directly with IMS Chair Michelle at ims.chair@ptols.com. We appreciate your support in making this a successful event. Okay, then we've got Teacher Appreciation Week coming up. That will be April 29th through May 3rd. I guess there is lots of events every day. So there'll be a Chalk the Walk on Sunday, 4/28. And then the journey begins on 4/29. Students bring in handmade cards and flags showing their gratitude. Tuesday, 4:30, European Tea Party. Teachers are cordially invited to attend a European Tea Party. Wednesday, May 1st, Asian Zen Den. Teachers enjoy a sensational Asian-inspired relaxation experience to calm both the body and mind. Thursday, May 2nd, South American Festival of Flowers. Students bring a single flower for each of their teachers to create a beautiful, diverse floral arrangement. And then Friday, May 3rd, Feasts Around the World. Teachers conclude their travels with a feast of culinary foods from around the world. Awesome. Love it. It's very creative. End of year pool party. Splash into the summer with the IMO pool party. Sunday, May 19th from 11 a.m. to close. We will have a private cabana at Island H2O Water Park. Tickets are only $27. Come out and celebrate your school year wrapping up on May 19th. Take advantage of this discounted ticket rate. And it can be used to go towards the purchase of an annual pass. For every 12 tickets sold, we will get 1 free ticket that will be used for families in need. Head to ptols.com for more information to purchase tickets. And that is it from Sarah.
Did they have their elections or is that in May?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Great, so then that takes us to our committees. Would you like to cover your committee, Kate? Your new committee?
Yes, so I'm now heading up the grant writing committee. So we had our April meeting last Thursday and we had a good discussion around those grants. We have applied to 2 grants since the previous meeting and we are working on an additional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 that we're actively pursuing. And we're continuing to research future options as well, but we've shifted gears a little bit to apply to some of the smaller, less competitive grants so we can get some quick wins and we'll be continuing to look out. They said that the spring is a really busy grant applying time. So we got a lot that opened up and we'll be pursuing this.
What are the deadlines?
There were several that were around April. I'm working on one that's April 25th for Dollar General. Let's see, we've got a few that are rolling. So TD, that one is for training. That one's a rolling application. We're pursuing a Walmart one that has a deadline of this Friday, but then we'll have another one coming up in 3 months. They do those quarterly. So lots of rolling ones, a handful that were due in the spring.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Kate. Okay, so we did talk last month together about revitalizing our annual giving. We kind of came to a stall. We had a lot of like one-time donations at Giving Tuesday, and now we want to focus more on monthly giving. So we have I met with Miss Kathy and Heather, and we're going to do it on next Monday, April 15th. We've got a flyer. If you guys see the little Canva that's in the board docs, it kind of stresses more of monthly giving. And so the idea would be that would be a physical handout at school dismissal. We also have posters made, to Brett's point of having a thermometer and making sure that it's visible. So we have discussed an ongoing Monday effort through the end of the school year where Safety Patrol will hold the thermometer. The thermometer can be updated as we increase our donations, our percentage towards our goal. So let me know if you guys have any roadblocks, any showstoppers. We do want to kind of get this rolling for next Monday, get it printed in school backpacks, handed out at Carline. Let me know if anybody can help with that, or anybody on the call can email me as well, marissa.carabelis@montessori.com.
Monday morning.
We're gonna do it at dismissal Monday. So those who come pick up the kids, if they want to come a little bit earlier, any support would be appreciated. Any questions or feedback on the flyer?
No, it's good. It's good.
Okay. All right, so we don't have any, I know we're like really been a long night, so we're kind of dragging
Just have
here.
an update that we're recruiting again for board members. Thank you all for.
Yes,
Have we
I
heard
did
any
not,
feedback?
I did not get an email.
I was gonna say they should be coming to secretary and president. You hear of any
We all-
interested folks, please.
We
continue to
all
drum up
shared
the
that up
interest.
on LinkedIn too. I don't know if
Mhm.
I don't know that I've seen any. feedback from me personally.
Sure.
Yeah, teaching Kevin.
So we're on a roll
I
with
thought
adding
that-
board members, so we want to keep the roll going and
Yeah.
add for additional succession planning for the future and sustainability. So.
Yeah, well, we've got people on, so if they're interested, it's out there. They can email me, secretary, SEC-BOD@innovationmontessori.com.
Yeah.
I have two
Email you,
emails.
yep.
Does your picture still show up on it?
Nope.
No, we switched headshot, yeah.
Thank you, Stephen.
Yep.
We figured out that was snafu. A picture.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
I just made a deadline of the May meeting for that because once we get into summer, people scatter, so this is kind of the last push before summer and then talk again in fall, so.
Okay. Oh, I will say we are, preliminary discussing a gala, right? Especially if we got we need a good fundraising push, as we just kind of hinted at. So yeah, we are thinking about collaborating with City of Ocoee. They do have a nice facility now, so like more to come on that, but that'll be next school year.
I went to a really cool gala on Friday night with a live auctioneer. That was super fun.
Yeah.
That raises some money.
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
you get people really riled up,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the silent auction does really well too, but like the live auction was
Live
a
is
huge, yeah.
going.
You get what you pay for with auctioneers.
That's
Yeah.
a good one. This one is good.
Oh, yeah.
Did you get his card?
Yeah, that's safe.
I
Contact.
know how to find it. Okay,
Awesome. All
Okay.
right, you wanna wrap this
9,
up?
I'm not gonna add anything to this long night, so I think at 9:03 we'll call it to order. Thank you, Heather, for fantastic updates tonight. I know you guys have put a lot of work into all the things you have been working on, so happy to see the progress you made and share those with us, and you guys are doing a fantastic job, so appreciate you, and I think you talked about having the best of the best and the staff that you got, and you've got you and your team of, Kathy and Jared that I think are the best of the best as well, so appreciate all of you guys.
So.
All right.
All right, thank you all.
Adjourned.
Thank you.
Goodbye.